All right, so we got Jay Harris on here today. Now, Jay, how are you keeping? How is everything? All good?
Yeah, everything's brilliant as it goes, mate. Really good. Just come off my last fight with Marcel Braithwaite. So yeah, we've had a bit of downtime and it's been chilling for the last couple of weeks, but been taking over nicely.
Yeah, I remember you saying, I think it was the interview after that fight, that you only really had like 3 proper weeks to get ready because the gym you were training in was closed during lockdown. So when the fight came out, you were obviously jumped at the opportunity. But like,
Yeah,
did that kind of maybe like you won the fight, you done well, but as you said yourself, it wasn't the performance you wanted. Did maybe the not having the full training camp, like the full amount of time to get ready, did that kind of maybe take away from it a bit?
but you know what? I couldn't really tell you to be honest. The old situation of like fighting with no crowds and stuff like that is a bit weird anyway. But it was. I think it just might have been one of them days. There's points in the fight where I knew I was a lot fitter than Marcel, and I knew he's blowing out. And for some reason, I just didn't capitalize on that, and I just went to the points victory. But for all credit to where he was, he put up a good fight, and yeah, I just learned from a little bit of the mistakes and been working on them now since the fight, like pretty much.
How's training been going? Obviously, we're in a different situation than we were back then. Some gyms are open, some aren't. Are you still taking away as normal, or is it kind of a bit up in the air at the minute?
No, still taking away as normal now. Everything's still in full swing around there.
Do you hope to be
Um,
out for the end of the year, maybe, or do you think that maybe pushing it a bit?
yeah, I don't think I'll be out before the end of the year. Probably not. Probably after Christmas now, I would have thought. But as I said, just taking over nicely, just in case something comes up. You never know.
Yeah, like I said, it's always good to be in shape, and just if there's an opportunity there for like on one of them MTK shows, just to kind of have a run at that, you're not having to worry about, oh, am I in shape? Do I have to do this? You can go kind of straight to it, basically.
Yeah, I'm always quite fit anyway. Straight away after the fight I just had. Anyway, I only had a week off, and then I was back training in the week after then. So I've just been continuous, just keep it going pretty much.
Question I have, like when we look at you in some of your fights, right? At flyweight, it's there for the eye to see. You are absolutely massive at that weight. Do you think that moving forward, is it going to be super fly, or are you happy enough with how you are making flyweight now? Which division do you think it's going to be?
Honestly, I make flyweight really well. I do. The fight with the Marcel, I thought because of all the lockdown and stuff like that, I put on quite a bit of weight through it, and I was like, oh crap. And then it come off really, really nice. It did. So I make it quite comfortably, the 8 stone mark. It's only like the last 2-3 pound that I really struggle with, but that's on the last week, that is. But going up to that, I make it pretty well. It's mad, like, because I didn't make 8 stone the last time. As a professional, I've been 8 stone, but before that, I think it was like 14. I was when I was at the last eight stone. I was in the amateurs, like.
And yeah, that's crazy to think. It's crazy how like when you see like you hear these fighters who've like turned pro and they found their weight divisions, they're saying like even when they were like teenagers, they weren't weighing as light as they were when they were pros. Like how they do it is just beyond me. I've seen like lads take crazy amounts of weight. I don't know how these guys do it.
Yeah, no, honestly, the last time I was 8 stone was in the amateur days, and then I thought I was turning pro with Superfly, and then I'd probably go on for that. But then I went with Gary Lockett, and he was like, "You'll be flyweight, you will." I was like, "Oh God, it's 8 stone." I was like, I don't know. And he said, "When title fights come up now," he said, "You'll be 8 stone." And to be fair, I made it, and I made it quite comfortably.
I think it's kind of all mental though when you think about it as well. Like you hear like certain fighters like, oh, I can't make that way, I can't make that way. And then I think like when they actually get put in that position, they think, right, I have to do it. They actually find actually no, you can take it off a little bit easier than we thought we did. I think a lot of it is just down to mental. Just you look at yourself and you stand on the scale, you're like 10 pounds over. You think, how am I going to get that off? And you realize that actually you can do it.
Yeah. Well, the fight before I was 16 pounds overweight. It was in 16 pounds, and I was like, that's good. But the 6 weeks we had, 6.5 weeks, or whatever we had, it held for like 2 weeks, and I was like, it's not coming off properly. And then all of a sudden, it was just boom, 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 like
Just
4 pounds, and then I was pretty much on weight the week of the fight. Like, I was 8 stone 1 and 4 ounces on the Thursday of the fight.
It's crazy. Now, I got to ask you about your fight in February with Martinez. Now, quite literally, Sky said you were in Disneyland when you got the call for that fight. If that was true, you were with the family. Do you look back on that? Like, obviously, there's no regrets about it. You put in a great performance. But do you look back and think, you know, I should have done this different? Or do you think to yourself, like, you know what? I learned so much from that experience that it's going to serve me well in the future. And maybe, who knows, a rematch could happen someday. We're down along the line.
Yeah, both I can answer. Obviously, as a fighter, like you're picky of your performances anyway. You always look at stuff. You're like, I should have done that. Should have done this. Should have done that. But that's good. Also, you can take that, then you work on that in the gym, and then you can try and get that for the next fight. Then, but as you said, I'm gonna try and plug away to get a rematch.
I think that, like, when we look at Martinez before and since, like, before he fought you, he was going through people. And since he's fought you, he's gone back to going through people. You're the kind of guy who just stood there. You didn't literally stand up, but you're the kind of guy who went in there and you said, no, it's going to be a hard night. And you gave him a tough fight. Do you take a lot of pride in that? Even though you didn't get the result, you take a lot of pride in the fact that you were kind of the guy who showed him what a real fight's like.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. And it showed him, like, he walked through our fella that on, I don't know when it was a couple of weeks ago.
3 rounds, I think it was.
Backed him in about 3 rounds, and the previous fights before me. So yeah, I hold a lot of, like, I'm his best fight pretty much. And,
I think it's crazy if you think about the way that he's fought a couple of your, at the time, would have been domestic level opponents like Andrew Selby and Charlie Edwards, and they were seen as the guys who might have given him a tougher time. But when you were mentioned, you weren't kind of seen as that guy, but those guys kind of fell by the wayside. You were the guy who really, as I said, took it to him.
Yeah, as I said, with like Andrew Selby and Charlie, I think I'm a different fighter than them two anyway. They more back-footed kind of fighters, but I'm more of a, like, come forward, I'll have a row with you kind of fighter, and as I proved, I got a pretty good chin, so
An excellent
so I'm able to trade with people like that.
How hard does he actually hit? We hear a lot of stories that, you know, his power is, for someone in that weight division, is unreal. Like, how hard did he actually hit? When you think of, like, amateur pro, would he be the hardest?
I still think Calify, it's solid.
Really?
Yeah, he's probably one of the biggest punchers I've been in the ring with, to be fair. But with that Martinez, it was like a power, like, every punch hurt. Do you know what I mean? With both hands.
Yeah.
So it was like you don't want to be taking a lot because they just hurt. They just both hands just hurt. So it didn't
More
matter
like
which hand.
puncher kind of.
Yeah, so it didn't matter which hand he was connected with. He would just hurt you with both hands.
I think one thing as well about your fights we've seen you in there with Paddy Barnes. In my opinion, that was fight of the year last year. If Jose Zepeda and Baranchek hadn't fought this year, you probably would have got fight of the year this year. Do you take pride in the fact that, like, when people look at, like, think of Jay Harris, they think of a guy, he's never in a dull fight. It's always all action.
It's a good thing, really, because it's value for money as well, isn't it? And I'm glad to be, like, a fan friendly fighter, because it makes people want to come and watch you once the people want to see you, like, and it's exciting.
I think it's good for the management team, is like they're never having to worry, you know, if we have fans or if we don't, is Jay Harris going to be a draw? We know we're going to get. You even going to want to watch him.
Yeah, well, the guy from IFL TV who, like, does the interviews and stuff like that, and he always says this. Like, he's like, if you're never in a dull fight, he said this. He said, I love watching you, and I was like, well, I don't want to be taking too many of these fights, do I? Bloody
No. I think that's kind of the catch-22. Like, it's great when you're in those entertaining fights, but you're the one getting hit. You're thinking, hang on a minute, I want an easy fight for a change. I don't want to keep taking these shots.
Yeah, exactly. Especially the last one in the fourth round, when I took that bloody big massive shot. Shouldn't have taken that, really, but I did.
One thing I got to ask, right, is your last opponent, Berthwaite, he fought Sonny Edwards. Now, we've heard your name and his name mentioned a lot. Is that a fight that you're interested in, or do you feel as though you want to focus on world level as opposed to going back down to domestic level? But would you be open to that fight next year if it got offered?
I think we both would be probably open to that fight. I think he said it, I've said it, but I don't know which way our paths are going to cross. But I think they will eventually cross anyway. I think we're both with the same management company, and I think eventually they will definitely cross paths.
Irrespective of, you know, whether it's for a British title, European title, or world title, you think that fight is seemingly inevitable?
Yeah, I think it'll happen, but I think it'll probably be for like, I don't know if it be like maybe an eliminator, maybe for a world title, or some sort of thing like that. I think that's what it would be like for, because I think he's really highly ranked in like the IBF and the WBO, and I'm highly ranked in the WBC and the WBA.
Moving forward for like 2021, obviously this year has been just, I mean, you're actually one of very few fighters who can actually say you've had 2 fights in 2020. It's not been a bad year for you. You've actually been active. Looking at 2021, is it back in at world level, or we know you've won a European title? Are you thinking maybe of kind of maybe testing the water at European level? Or are you thinking, no, straight back in, eliminators, big fights? That's what I want moving forward. I'm not going European level anymore.
Yeah, I want the big fights now. I do. That's my kind of aim. I don't really want to go backwards, but all depends what sort of situation we're in next year. It could be still lockdown, bloody shows, and you might have to just have to fight domestically. You don't know, so the Sonny Edwards fight might happen anyway. Do you know what I mean? If it's the best fight out there, but I'm hoping it's going to be crowds and stuff, so we can all go back to it. Like, but yeah, it all depends what sort of situation we're in, and I'd love to fight just getting in the mix at world level again, and then try and push for another world title.
That's it. Can I ask a question about the you've obviously this year you fought twice, once with a crowd, once not with a crowd. What is like, because I haven't spoke to many fighters who fought behind closed doors yet this year. What is the difference? Does it feel more like you're in the gym having a spar than it does actually being in a real fight?
It was worse than being in the gym in a sparring, because you come up, like, obviously you're standing ready to go out and your music's playing and stuff, so you trying to get up there, and then you walk out, like, and you look around and there's like no one around you, 0 people, no atmosphere. The only real people is in the people in the corner and the judges. Like, other than that, it's just like dead silent. It's just quiet.
Can you even hear your cornerman with all the like stuff they have on their face?
Yeah, you can hear. My dad was like pulling it down a little bit so you could hear it. Otherwise, it's quite like, you know, like ear muffed. You can't,
yeah.
It's quite like that. It is, but it's an experience, isn't it? And if it's going to be like this for the foreseeable future, we're just going to have to get used to it for a bit. It's just going to be one of them situations. But saying that, I watched a show like the Gervonta Davis, Rio Santa Cruz show. I think Canelo Alvarez and Cam Smith show. They allowed in so many people in fan wise, so it could be changing now.
I'm crossing everything that they change it, because I know myself. I miss from every aspect. I miss the fans so much. Like, it just adds to, so like, if you're having a good fight, like, you look at like your fight in February had fans in it screaming. You look at like now, like Zepeda versus Branchek. Imagine that fight had fans in it. Like this, you miss it. You miss the atmosphere. Yeah,
it's crazy. Like, I still think the best atmosphere I've had was in Belfast. It's the one of the best ones I've had. It was nuts to us. It was just crazy. But
Belfast, a hell of a city. I'll tell you that. Yeah, it's a hell of a city.
Needed, isn't it? It's definitely needed.
That's the kind of place where, and the good thing is, like, you fought Paddy Barnes there, and like Paddy Barnes is like a hero in Belfast, but they respect the away fighter as well. They're not like gonna like boo you out with the building. Like, you went in there, you and him put on a show. It was a hell of a fight. I remember watching that live, thinking, I don't want this fight to end. I love watching it. And like, they respect all that as well. And it went 4 rounds, but it felt like it was a 10 round. It felt like you went 10 rounds.
Yeah. As I said, they respect that, because even when I went out, like, and it was like celebrating the next day and stuff like that, people were just coming up to me and they were just having a chat away, and they were just saying, look, I know Paddy is our guy, like, but fair dues. That was brilliant, and it was like no animosity. It was we had a great weekend there. We did.
You can't have a bad weekend in Belfast, I don't think. Maybe now with the lockdown, but before, you can't have a bad weekend up there. It's a great city.
It was a hell of a weekend. It was great.
That kind of really be kind of the questions I mainly have. Like, I mean, obviously, like you yourself said, you're not planning on getting out this year. You're open, but unlikely. And next year you want to get in at world level. With the situation, you're training with your dad still. How is that going? Is that still kind of going to be moving forward? How it's going to be? Or are you looking at?
No, that'll be it. I'll be with like my dad and Gary Lockett now until the end. Then pretty much, I wouldn't change anything
how's
for
the
the way
sparring
it was.
going up in Swansea as well?
Pardon?
How's the sparring going as well up there? Like, are you sparring much now, or is it kind of just taking
It's
over?
all right. One of the guys I managed a Dragon. He's got a fight coming up, I think. So he's asked me down for sparring. So sparring last week, so sparring again this week. There's ones up in Cardiff as well, Gary and that. So you'll have like Reese Edwards and Callum Davis, stuff like that. Callum Smith, sorry, his name is. So there's plenty of sparring around. Like it's just taking over now. It's nothing too mad. It's just once a week or whatever they ask me to do. So it's just great at the minute. It's just as soon as something comes up, then you know that you're still sparring and timing's in and stuff like that. You don't have to just rush anything. Then do you know what I mean? It's just happening.
I think that's always the worst when you hear a fighter and it's like they're sitting on an armchair, done no training, and then they're told you want to fight in 4 weeks, and it's like, what do I do? I have to rush up and do all that. Like that's why whenever I see
it is really quite tough then if you just got get all the weight off in 4 weeks and and you're not fit. But yeah, it's twice as hard, man.
Even if it's only like a small fight, you want to make sure
it takes its toll, honestly. Just just trying to get the weight off so fast as well. Again, like crash dieting, pretty much. That takes hell of a lot of you. It's terrible.
That's kind of pretty much the main questions I have. The one last question I want, this is just a generic boxing question. With the fights that are coming up now between now and Christmas, obviously we got the announcement of Canelo Smith versus Canelo. How do you see that fight go? That's kind of the one I think we're all looking forward to the most.
You know what? When that got announced, Carlos, he could be a bit wrong for Canelo, mind, because he's so tall, so big for the weight. Canelo Smith, he's massive. He's like a freak of the weight. And I know Canelo, but bloody hell, if obviously Canelo Smith is going to grab it, it's like a massive money fight and stuff like that. But I think him and Billy Joe would have been is quite wrong for Canelo, like, because he's so big. Like if he keeps him long, and I think Canelo will have an hell of a tough time with him.
I think John Ryder is about 5'9", and I think Canelo is listed at 5'8", but you really would say probably even shorter than that. So if Callum Smith being 6 foot, he's a cruiserweight, I think, in the super middleweight division.
Yeah, he could go up the cruise easy. He's so big for the weight, like he's huge for the weight. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that, man. It's going to be great.
I think having
it's about time anyway, because he had to fight one of them. He had to fight a decent fight. He couldn't just fight someone crap like he was all about fighting that guy, wasn't he? That Chris Eubank beat.
Yildirim, yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking and everybody had like an uproar about that, and they sort of said like, oh, what's he fighting? The only two people they wanted to fight is Canelo Smith or Billy Joe, pretty much, didn't they? Oh, the Golovkin again, but I'm glad he's fighting Canelo Smith.
I'm happy with it as well. I'm happy with it. I think it's a great way to end the year, like getting Canelo and Canelo. And the fact that we're getting Canelo in a big fight and we're not getting him in there, like you said, against the Yildirim or someone you knew. Yeah. All right, you're gonna beat the crap out of him, and then so on. There's no hype there. There's hype out this fight.
It is a good fight, honestly, and they got some fans there as well. I think it's like 10,000, maybe. I think, I'm not sure, something like that.
I'll take that.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll take that. This is good. Jay, I'm going to call that here. I said I'd only have you on for about 15, 20 minutes. I appreciate this so much. It's been great having you on the channel. And look, next time you have a fight coming up, I'll definitely be happy to have you back on if you want to come on again, and we can talk.
Definitely.
For now, I'm going to call it quits here. Lads in the chat, there's about 16, 17 are in the chat. I'd say it'd be a hell of a lot more after this. But Jay, best of luck. Whatever you do moving forward, whoever you fight next, you have my support behind you. Appreciate you coming on the channel, man. You're the second fighter I've had on my channel, so I'm doing well. Like I'm getting the names on.
Yeah, no worries. Honestly, it's been a pleasure.
No worries, lads. Lads, I'm going to call it quits here. Lads, if you smash the like button and go support Jay Harris, go onto his Instagram page, give him a like, follow him on Twitter. Great fighter, never in a dull fight. That's the great thing about Jay. He's never in a dull fight. So they're the kind of fights we want. They're the fighters we want. So big up to all the lads. I'm going to call it quits here.